My name's Hansen Hunt. I'm here to talk to you today about how to align your SEO with the buyer's journey. Who here practices SEO on a regular basis? All right, we got half of you. Who here knows what the buyer's journey is? More than half of you. Great, that's a great start. If you know what the buyer's journey is, it's going to make your SEO even easier. So let's see if I can figure out this clicker. So we got 6 steps I want to go through today. The goal by the end of this presentation is so you can take this literally presentation back and apply it to your work. Not a lot of big hoopla, foofy stuff. Literally just step-by-step process of how you get from point A to B and align your SEO with the buyer's journey. And first up, the first thing you have to do is define your buyer personas. And in order to do that, you have to know your business and your goal. This business is a fictitious business we're going to name Beerorama. If you don't know me, I'm really into craft beer, so I'm going to talk all about craft beer today with this sample. And our goal is to sell our hydrometer, which is a tool you use in measuring the gravity of a beer when you're brewing it before and afterwards. And very geeky homebrewing stuff. So we're going to sell a hydrometer to every homebrewer in the world. Really, really ambitious goal. And we have 3 target personas. Beer Geek Bob, he's your chemist, your biologist background who's really geeky and just loves the science of brewing and fermentation. Then you've got Crafty Carl. He's just DIY guy himself. He's made his own garden. He makes his own wine. Now he's going to make his own beer. And then you've got Enthusiast Hansen. That is my picture, and it really does fit my persona. As much as I love and want to brew beer, it's more because I love beer and not because I'm a science geek about it. So it doesn't always turn out as good. And I just want to share it with all my friends at my house when they come over. And so a few different nuances with these guys. All right, so Beer Geek Bob's going to be a little bit more specific in the terms he's using to search and much more advanced knowledge of the fermentation process. Crafty Carl, he's going to really have a good understanding, but still have a lot of questions. And the questions that seem a little bit dumb are probably coming from Enthusiast Hansen. So I'll put myself in that role. To understand the buyer persona a little bit more, you got to put yourself in their shoes, not look at them from the outside in, right? Not what you think of these brewers, that they're awesome people doing this magnificent experiment in their kitchen and coming up with this elixir that everyone enjoys. Really what they are, if you see the last step there, they're just glorified cleaners. They just clean really, really well, is all brewers really. Step 2, keyword brainstorm. So all you people doing SEO that you said, you've probably gone through a process like this. This is how I personally do it. Doesn't mean it's the right way. I'm not an SEO scientist and expert. I'm not trying to make it seem like you're doing it the wrong way. This is how I do it. So I start with something like Quora. It's a Q&A site. Has everyone heard of Quora? Everyone got it? Okay, cool. So it's the biggest Q&A site in the world. They've got tons of questions already in there and answers already in there. Go put in your topic, your service, your product, a keyword you've already identified, more of a general term. So for example, I put in here hydrometer beer, was what I put into Quora at 11 p.m. last night when I made this presentation. And this is what came up. And there's definitely some good questions already and relevant questions that people are asking about hydrometers right in the first page. If you don't see enough relevancy there, find one question, click it, and you'll see related questions right in the middle there. And it'll literally take you down a rabbit hole of questions. You could spend way too much time on this, so just try to cut yourself off at like an hour or two before you find yourself down the rabbit hole. Another thing, I know you guys can't read it, but I highlighted at the bottom there. I thought it was kind of funny. There was one question that says, if the world is ending tomorrow, what is the most significant moment in history? And one person said the invention of beer. And I thought that was a really great answer to that question. Website conversion rates. I threw this chart in there. It's from this Neil Patel blog. If you guys, who's heard of Neil Patel? Awesome. He's an expert in a lot of things, but especially SEO. He had a really great resource that I used. He does this Quora process as well. And he was showing that long-tail keywords convert at 26%, while more head terms and generic, 2 words or less, only convert at 10% on his website. And to continue with the process, so now you've got all these questions, right? Now you need to figure out how to actually draw out real keywords from these questions that you found in Quora. Plug in a really relevant, the top 10 relevant questions you found from there. Plug them into Google AdWords tool. Right? I got the link down there at the bottom, but you can easily just find it by going to Google AdWords and go to the keyword tool. I plugged in, how do I measure specific gravity when homebrewing beer? So a very relevant question to the product we're trying to sell. It doesn't actually say the name in it, but it answers the right question. And then up pops all these ad groups that I can just easily extract all the keywords from these. And there's tons. Each one there is relevant to me right now. Especially hydrometer is in the majority of every single one of them. I didn't even have hydrometer in the equation because Google already knows that hydrometer is the answer to that question. And so now I extract all these keywords. Next step, right? I've got I copy paste the whole list, put them all together after I've got 10 questions I plopped in there. I've got 1,000 keywords, and to figure out the value of these keywords, put them back in the system, and you want to search, get the search volume and trends. And right here you can see the average monthly searches and the competition. Those are two really important things in your SEO process you want to look at. If there's very low or 10 or 20 searches per month, it's probably not a keyword you want to make as your top strategy keywords, right? You're not your primary or secondary keywords. If they're really long tail, they could be beneficial in the end and convert a lot. But for this purpose, let's stick with something that has, I would say, over 50 at least monthly searches. But I pull out all the data here, and then I go in. Next step is I want to pull it all out into an Excel sheet, right? And I've got average monthly, competition, suggested bid if you're going to run pay-per-click prices, what they suggest. And I've got this big, long Excel sheet of all these keywords, and I need to figure out what to do. I will then filter. Oh, sorry, skipping 2 steps here, guys. I will filter in step 3 here, the competition. I usually start with a 0.8. I will eliminate anyone that's above a 0.8, so that way I'm not going for the highest competition keywords. Sometimes I suggest even starting lower than that, get down to 0.7, 0.6 for more easily winnable keywords. Average monthly searches, I did above 50. If you have a lot of keywords as options, start with above 100. If you don't, you might have to really lower your number down to even 30, 40, 50. Next step is you want to map this, and this is what the whole talk's about. Right now we have all these keywords that came from these questions from Quora, so we know they're relevant and people are asking these questions, and we know the keywords related to that question. Now we need to align it to the buyer's journey and those personas that we originally defined, right? So first, that same Excel sheet now, what I do is I add the persona. Every keyword I assign to a persona, and not just every keyword, right? Every one that we qualified based on the competition and monthly searches. You don't want to do this with 1,000 keywords. It would take you multiple days. So I start by adding a persona, and you have to use your intuition a little bit, right? Like I said before, someone searching for example, a refractometer, which is not a hydrometer, it's another way of measuring gravity of a beer. That person is probably pretty well versed in homebrewing and knows a thing or two about geeky stuff like refractometers. So we know that that is not Enthusiast Hansen or Crafty Carl. We know that's Beer Geek Bob. So I use that intuition to see, okay, who is the one that's going to be searching for these? The really high-level ones, like reading a hydrometer, is obviously coming from Hansen because this is his first time ever doing it. And then you have someone like Crafty Carl. How do you measure the specific gravity? Well, he knows to at least use the term specific gravity and not original gravity or final gravity. So he has a bit of a working process knowledge of homebrewing. Who here homebrews? Anyone? We got 1, 2. That's it? Raise your hand high. There we go. We've probably got an expert in the house back here. Is it homebrew? Next step, we want to add, so we have the persona now. We want to add the buyer's journey stage. So let me go back, sorry, a second here. We've got these 3 stages. Actually, there's a 4-stage delight. But in the buyer's journey before they buy a product, who's seen this here before? A lot of you, right? So awareness, consideration, decision. I don't need to deep dive too much into it, but it's the process that they're going through, not your sales process, right? It's the process they're going through when buying, looking for information and buying your product. And so I want to use each of those stages in this Excel sheet here. And so I want to know which keyword is related to an awareness stage piece of content that I have versus consideration versus decision, and then even delight. There's actually a lot of delight in here. You notice that because typically I don't go after too many keywords with delight, but if you've ever used one of these little gadgets for measuring gravity, you know how fragile they are. They break a lot. So this person's going to need to buy again and again and again. So go down each one. This might be a little bit harder than the last step because you have to use a little bit more intuition of what they're actually searching for. Someone who uses something like versus, like a hydrometer versus a refractometer, which isn't a keyword I put up there, but it probably is one in real life if you search. that is someone who's already in the consideration stage, right, and trying to decide do they want one tool or the other. Refractometer obviously being much more expensive, so they'll probably go with the hydrometer first. And I go through one by one. I only have a short list here. Typically, I will look for more keywords until I've got at least a couple hundred. I don't want to start approaching this until I've narrowed it down to the best, most valuable keywords, right? You don't want to do this for thousands. Like I said, it'll take too long. Your next step, you add priority. So this is a word I use. You can use whatever. I know on a website, right, I've got my home page and I've got my primary product pages or maybe an information page. Those are ones I need to make sure I have my best keywords on and I'm building more content around them. So I will label my keywords based on priority of primary, secondary, and I use the word blog because it's like it's a third tertiary keyword that is not really going to be one I use for a web page, but more of a blog topic. And you do it by persona, right? So I know that Crafty Carl's primary keyword during the awareness stage is how to measure specific gravity. So this is really granular now, right? And it didn't take me that long to get to this point, but now I know exactly who's searching the term, what their intent is in terms of buyer's journey, where they're at in the buyer's journey, and where I should put it on my website. Should it be primary, secondary, on a blog topic? All right, and then you actually write your web page down. So in this same Excel sheet, now I list all my websites. You can put your domain name, you can put the title of your web page. Here I just put titles because I don't actually have a domain for this. But typically the domain would include the keyword in the domain itself. It's simple, just go down each one. What web page do I have for this keyword? Or what web page do I need to create? Then go brainstorm blog topics. So you've got the web content, now you put in the right keywords, and now you need to know what blog topics are for the right buyer or the right persona in the right buyer's journey stage. It's pretty fun and easy to do this. There's 3 tools. It only lists 2 here because it's cut off in the bottom part of the screen. Keywordtool.io, Moz content, and BuzzSumo. Are the 3 tools that I use. And you'll have this deck too afterwards, so don't worry about that, writing all these down. But the keywordtool.io I find pretty fun. Just even the free version gives you this information right here. You can see the search term I put in on the left, and the keywords that pops out. And this is basically if you do a Google search and then you put in your keyword there, scroll down to the bottom of the page, all those extra suggestions at the bottom of the page, that's what these are. That's what this is pulling from. And all those other terms related to that one that people are searching. So now I see measuring specific gravity with a refractometer. That would be a great blog topic, right? That's a very long tail specific keyword that includes my keyword, my main keyword my primary keyword I'm trying to target, plus some more information about it. So now I can make that for specifically Beer Geek Bob, because he's the one searching for refractometers. And I put in the blog topics. So now I've got the web page, I've got the persona, the buyer's journey, the priority web page, and now I've got the blog topics for each keyword. You don't want to just have one blog topic for every keyword. Your primary, secondary keywords, you probably want to start building up a collection of blog topics pointing to that keyword and linking back to your, whatever it is, your homepage, your product page, whatever. But at least get something in here so you have an editorial calendar to get off, to go forward with, right? So now you know what blog topics you're writing for the next 3 months here if you're doing one per week. And that's your step 6. That's pretty much it for the buyer's journey with SEO. So I went quick, I know, so let's take some questions. Red shirt.
Yeah, so this is obviously like the example you gave is a topic that you're very familiar with.
Yep.
And so my question is how, what you would do with maybe a client you're not really familiar as much with what their industry is or what their niche is.
That's how I spent my Sunday night. I went to bed at 4 a.m. That's why Quora is really helpful. Quora is not always the answer because some topics are so niche that no one's even asking them on Quora. But yeah, Quora can be a huge help, at least guiding you the right direction. But that's why you really need to start with your buyer persona and not just keyword research. Because if you don't know your buyer persona, then you're never going to understand the keywords they're searching, right? So start there first. And then with that, you'll get some industry terms. and just kind of go down that rabbit hole until you kind of click on a few keywords, and then start building that expansion using the AdWords tool, right? Like putting that in and pulling out another 300 keywords and measuring the value of those ones. But really start to understand the buyer persona first. So you got to do your research, honestly. I literally go to conferences in every industry. They always have at least the conference titles, like the workshop titles, on their websites posted, or they even sometimes have the video recordings or webinars in the past, all on their websites. And I just start there. I just start scanning through that content and pulling out keywords, and I have an Excel spreadsheet with keyword ideas and blog topic ideas that someone else has already written that I could maybe repurpose their idea, and I have that as I'm brainstorming. And then I start putting that into Quora if I find a few key hits. Yeah, they use a 0.8. Some systems out there, keyword systems, will use like a low, medium, high difficulty, or give you another score like 1 to 100. That's pretty much a 1 to 100 score, 0.8 being like an 80. And so anything that is, I would say, above a 0.7, there's already really high value content on page 1 that you're going to have trouble ranking for. So that's comparing you against, like, for example, if you try a keyword that is related to an industry where there's government websites or NGO websites that are writing about it a lot, or education websites writing about that keyword a lot, you're not going to beat the government websites in the rankings. So, or you might, but it's going to be hard. It's going to be a lot harder than a score of like 0.5 on there, 0.4. It's just a much bigger opportunity for you to gain traffic. So if you see 720 monthly searches from one keyword with a 0.5 versus 0.8, target the 0.5. 2 questions she asked. Is there such thing as too many personas? And is there, do you approach it from a revenue perspective, right? Yes, there is such thing as a too many personas. It depends on how much bandwidth you have. If you're doing this yourself, you need to really focus down your personas on the highest value personas, which is revenue focused. Who's going to convert the most, the best, who's your ideal target customer. Make that your primary persona and start building content and keywords for them. And then work down to your other personas. So if you have secondary personas, I usually try to keep it under 5. 5 is a lot for me. I would say 3 is ideal. But it's not really any clear answer for you. It depends on your business. Every business is a little bit different. But I would keep it at like 3 primary personas at most, and you can have some secondary ones. But your revenues, majority of your revenue is coming from 3 personas most likely. So yes, there is such a thing as too many. And if you're only doing yourself, it'll be impossible to build enough content for all of them. So it's just there's really high ranking websites that like high quality websites that are already ranking for that keyword. So it's going to take you a lot of work to beat them out on page 1 of Google. So that's what that number is kind of based on, is how hard is it for you to be on page 1. And if you want to put in the work, I'm not saying it's impossible, go for it. But and make sure it's there's sometimes I have a client who has like a 0.9 keyword that they were already ranking for when I came in. And so I'm not going to abandon that keyword. I'm going to build a much bigger strategy around it. They have an awesome high, one-word keyword that is ranking number 1 on Google. That's great. So expand on that. But in order to start building out your content and see a quicker return, don't focus on those keywords right away. That might be a year from now you start seeing returns from those kind of keywords. All right, that's it for me, folks. I hope you learned something about the buyer's journey. And you will have these slides, and I'll send out the Excel spreadsheet just in case you want to target Beer Geek Bob or Crafty Carl or Enthusiast Hansen. I already did your keyword research for you.